I don't know, this weather, the fires, the air, just kind of feels a little strange, doesn't it? Along with everything else going on. Well, happy Friday. I'm going to go ahead and get started since there are so many of you guys who are up and here on time. You guys have 3 poses today. I'm going to introduce them right now so you can just watch me and see them. And then we'll go through them together during the practice, and then I'll recap at the end so you know what you have to do for your video. So there are people who are still hopping on, but you can just watch me. So the first pose of today is going to be, well, I'll just do the easy one that you probably know. It's plank pose. So it's the top of a push-up. Again, you're just watching me right now just to see what's going on. So just like in tabletop, your shoulders are over your wrists, and you're drawing your belly up towards your spine. So you don't want to let the hips sag. You're trying to push into the hands and lift the belly. So most of you guys have probably done this in some sort of form of exercise. So that's plank. And again, we'll do this during class, and I'll recap at the end because people are hopping on late. So plank is the first one. Modified plank is the second one. So it's basically the same thing with the knees down. Super easy. And then the last one will come down to the belly, and you'll just lift your head and your shoulders. It's called cobra pose. So you don't have to have it all memorized right now in this moment. I just wanted you to see it. And then we'll kind of do it together, and I'll recap so you know what the video has to look like for your assignment. So we'll go ahead and just start with the yoga practice today. So find your comfortable seat. Just sit up nice and tall. Imagine that there's a string from the center of the head lifting you up so your spine is nice and tall. Your hands can rest on your knees or in your lap. And then if you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not, you can keep a soft gaze with the eyes open. And just take a moment to notice how you're feeling this morning. You know, for me, the past several days, I've just been feeling kind of strange. Something about the fires and the airs, and maybe you're feeling that way too. And just know that if you're feeling a little off, that will pass. It's not forever. And then just take an inhale through your nose. Exhale softly out your mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. And then inhale through the nose. This time exhale through the nose. Continuing like that, inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. And just continue breathing like that in and out through your nose at your own pace. And just notice if it's easy or hard for you to maintain your focus on your breath without me giving you any guidance. Notice if you've gotten distracted. Just bring your focus back to your breath. Don't get mad at yourself. It happens. Just focus on the inhales and the exhales. And then you can keep your eyes closed or softly blink them open. Take your chin down towards your chest and just pause there with the chin at the chest. So just feel the length in the back of the neck. Just see if you can start to focus. I see some of you are very fidgety this morning. Just see if you can find some stillness here. And then keeping the chin at the chest, just take an inhale. And on the exhale, roll your right ear to your right shoulder, just nice and easy. And then inhale, take your chin towards your chest. Exhale, left ear, left shoulder. Inhale, chin to chest. Exhale, right ear, right shoulder. Inhale, chin to chest. Exhale, left ear, left shoulder. Inhale, chin to chest, just pause there. Hold for the exhale. On your inhale, lift your head to neutral. Exhale, turn your head to the right, look over your right shoulder. We'll move with breath here. Inhale, bring your head back to center. Exhale, turn your head to the left, nice and easy. Inhale, back to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale to the left. Inhale back to center. And then just take the hands next to the hips, change the cross of the legs so the opposite shin comes in front. And then reach your arms up by your ears. Just hook your thumbs at the top. So you're just taking this little clasp with your thumbs. And then take a gentle side bend to your right. And just pause there for a breath. Remember, the movement doesn't have to be big. Just go to your edge or a place where you feel sensation in your body. It'll be different for everybody. Come back up to center and then take it to the other side. And notice if you're holding your breath, just continue to have a soft breath. And then come back to center, just release that clasp with the thumbs and take a twist to the right. So your right fingertips will come behind you. Left hand can be to the outside of the thigh, or maybe that hand's on the mat in front of you. And then come back to center, reach both arms up, twist over to the other side. Maybe noticing if one side feels different than the other. That helps you to stay focused. You can have your eyes closed so you don't have any visual distractions. And then come back to center, reach both arms up. Just lower the arms down. Take some shoulder rolls, just up and back. And then take them the opposite way. And then make your way up into tabletop. So you can just take your hips to the side or cross over the shins. So starting with the hips over the knees and the shoulders over the wrists, we're gonna start to take some circles with the shoulders around the wrists. So just take your shoulders towards your fingertips. Any amount, doesn't have to be big. And then take your shoulders to the right of the wrists, behind them, and to the left. So you're just circling the shoulders around the wrists here at your own pace, just shifting the weight in the hands, getting some movement in the wrists and the forearms. And then take those circles the opposite direction, just around to the left and back. It's nice and easy. And then just come back to stillness in your tabletop so your shoulders are back over your wrists. We'll take some movement with breath here. I think we've done this before. So on your inhale, lengthen your chest forward through the upper arms, drop the belly and take the gaze slightly forward. Exhale, press into the hands, round the spine and drop the top of the head. Inhale, lengthen the chest forward, drop the belly. Exhale, press into the hands, round the spine. Inhale, lengthen it forward. Exhale, curl and round. And then just come back to tabletop, neutral spine. Bring your big toes together. Take your knees a little wider than your hips and take your hips back to your heels. You haven't really learned this pose, but it's called child's pose. So hips can be back to the heels. If this feels uncomfortable for you, remember you can be back in your tabletop, or you can be on forearms with your hips a little forward, so it's not as extreme on your knees and your ankles. So you decide. You have a couple more breaths here. And then come back to tabletop. Take your right leg up and back so it's parallel to the mat. I'm going to let you decide. Your right leg can stay up by itself, or if you want, the left arm is going to come up by the ear. So right leg, left arm can be extended. If you don't want the left arm up, you can keep that hand down. Wherever you are, take an inhale. And then exhale, bring your knee to your elbow or your knee to your nose. Inhale, extend everything back out. Exhale, hug it in. Inhale, extend it out. This is harder than it looks like, no. Exhale, hug it in. Inhale, extend, pause there for just a moment. Good, lower everything to tabletop. Just wiggle your hips side to side. And notice maybe your breath started to get a little fast, maybe you started to get a little warm. And then come back to stillness in your tabletop. Take your left leg up and back. Again, it's your choice if you stay here or if you take your right arm by your ear. Take an inhale wherever you are. Exhale, knee to nose or knee to elbow. Inhale, extend it out. Exhale, hug it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, hug. Inhale, extend. Hold it there just for a moment. Good. Lower everything down. Wiggle your hips side to side. And then bring your big toes together again. Sit your hips back to your heels for that child's pose. You have a couple breaths. Nice and easy. And then come back into tabletop. Shoulders come back over wrists. We'll come into a quick downward facing dog that we did last week. So tuck your toes under, lift your hips up for your downward facing dog. And once you're there, bend your right knee, straighten your left leg. And then change sides, bend the left knee, straighten the right. And then straighten both legs any amount. Remember, you can have a bend in your knees if that feels better for you. And then drop your knees down to the mat. You can come back to seated or wherever is comfortable for you. If you need to circle your wrists around after being on your wrist, feel free to take some circles here. And since we have so many people who are late, I'm going to go over the first pose again just so you guys can see it, and then you'll do it with me. I'm not going to do this always though, so if you're late, you're just going to have to pick up with what we're doing. So watch me here for a second. The first pose we're going to come into is that modified plank. So we'll start in tabletop. You're going to walk your hands forward, one handprint, so it's just a slightly longer tabletop, and then the hips will come forward. So notice there's a long line from the back of the head to the back of the knees, and I'm really pulling the belly towards the spine so my hips aren't sagging here. So you're really trying to pull into the front side of the stomach. So let's try that together. Come into your tabletop with me. We'll meet with shoulders over wrists to start. And then from there, walk your hands forward, one handprint. And then shift your hips forward, but keep drawing the belly towards the spine. So this is your first pose of the day, modified plank. It's actually not easy. You should feel like you're working. And then you can walk your hands back and come back to seated. So we'll transition that into cobra pose. So the second pose today is cobra. So again, you can just watch me. We're going to do these in conjunction with one another. So we'll come into modified plank. You're going to hug your elbows towards your rib cage as you slowly lower down. That's not really the pose, it's just a transition. And then the second pose is cobra. So once you're here, you'll lift your head and your shoulders off the mat. Okay? So let's try that together. Make your way into tabletop where your shoulders are over your wrists. Walk your hands forward, one handprint. Take the hips forward, but keep drawing the belly in, so that's your modified plank, pose one. And then bend the elbows, hug them towards the rib cage, lower all the way to your belly. So that's just your transition. Once you're there, lift your head and your shoulders off the mat. It doesn't have to be very big here. Good. And then lower everything down. Press back up to tabletop. And let's take a child's pose. Big toes together, hips back to heels. You have a couple breaths right here. And then we're going to start to incorporate those two poses into a sun salutation, that movement with breath. So come back to tabletop. Tuck your toes, lift your hips for downward facing dog. We're not going to hold it. Once you're in down dog, you've got it. Walk your feet forward to your hands, coming to your standing forward fold. You guys know that pose. On your inhale, lift the torso halfway, hands to shins or thighs. Exhale, fold back forward. Inhale, press into the feet, come all the way up to standing. Reach the arms by the ears. I know you can't see me. And then exhale, bring your hands to your heart. So we're going to incorporate those poses into a sun salutation A. Just follow along. We've kind of done a variation of this before. So on your inhale, take your arms out to the side, reach your arms up. And on the exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, hands to shins or thighs. And then plant your hands to the mat. You're going to step back to that modified plank. So you'll step to the knees, shins down. Now it's kind of hard to find it, but you'll get the hang of it. And then once you're there, bend the elbows, lower all the way to your belly. Untuck the toes. Lift your head and your shoulders for cobra. And then lower back down to the mat. Press yourself to tabletop. And tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog. You have one breath right there in down dog. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. You guys were all taking a break because I was taking a break. On your inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing, reach up. Exhale, hands to the heart. We're gonna do that one more time like that. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, hands to shins or thighs. Exhale, hands to the mat, step to that modified plank so your knees are down. Just take an inhale here in your modified plank, you got it. And on the exhale, hug your elbows towards the rib cage as you lower to your belly. Inhale, peel the head and shoulders up for cobra. Good. Exhale, lower down. Press through tabletop to downward facing dog. Give one breath in down dog. And then drop your knees to the mat. Bring your big toes together. Sit back into your child's pose, hips to heels. And just notice, your breath is probably fast. You're probably starting to get warm. Most of you haven't done this before, so you're just still trying to figure out everything that's happening, and that's okay. Don't feel like you have to have it perfect right now. This is a learning process. By the end of the semester, you'll be able to do this with your eyes closed and just listen. But for now, be nice to yourself. All right, and then come up to seated, just so you can watch me. So we did modified plank with the knees down, that's pose 1. Cobra, where you're on your belly, lift your head and shoulders, that's pose 2. And pose 3 is plank pose. So just watch me, we're gonna do this together in a second, but I'll just show you one more time. So we'll come back to that modified plank from tabletop, and then you're just gonna tuck the toes under and lift the hips up. Now, if you have anything going on with your low back or you have a wrist pain, you don't need to do plank pose today, okay? So you decide, you may stay here and just know that plank is toes tucked and knees lifted, okay? So let's try it together. Come into your tabletop. Walk your hands forward, one handprint. Shift the hips forward, lift the belly, you're in modified plank. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees. This is your plank pose, it's the top of a push-up. Keep drawing the belly towards the spine. Good. And then drop your knees to the mat and just come back to seated so you can look up here. So we're gonna do that sun salutation A at least one more time, maybe 2 more times. And I'm gonna give you the choice to do either modified plank or plank. So we've already done modified plank together as a group. I just wanna show you what it's gonna look like if you use plank. So you're gonna come into your fold, lift halfway, and then step the feet back. So you're in this plank position. If you're here, you're gonna shift your shoulders forward towards your fingertips just a little bit, and then lower to the belly. And then same thing we've been doing, cobra, lift head and shoulders, lower down, and then back to downward facing dog. So we'll do that together as a group. Let's start in down dog, and then we'll flow through the whole thing together. So come to tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift the hips, and come into down dog. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. Forward fold at the front of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Exhale, hands to the heart. Remember, it's your choice. You're either going to do modified plank or plank here. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, plant your hands. You're stepping back to plank with the knees lifted, or maybe your knees are down, modified plank. If you're in plank, shift your shoulders towards your fingertips. And then lower all the way to your belly. Oh, I'm tired this morning. Lift your head and your shoulders for cobra. And then lower everything down. Press through tabletop. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, down dog. And then walk your hands and your feet towards each other. So you're standing forward fold at the center of the mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way to standing. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And then just turn to face the long edge of your mat. Some of you it's going to be right, some of you it's going to be left. Just so you can see me. So you're facing the long edge, feet are wider than the shoulders. And just start with your feet parallel to one another. You got it. Let's take hands to hips. And then spin your right toes to the right, so they're spinning towards the short edge of your mat. And then spin your left toes in just a little bit, so both sets of toes are pointing to the right. And then bend your right knee. Good. Take your arms to a T. We're going to take a little bit of movement here. So on your inhale, straighten your right leg and take your arms by your ears. Exhale, bend the right knee, arms to a T. You got it. Inhale, straighten the leg, arms up. Exhale, bend the knee, arms to a T. Inhale, straighten the leg, arms up. Exhale, bend the knee, arms to a T. You're just going to hold right here for a breath. You guys look great. And then bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your right leg. Spin your feet parallel so toes are spinning to the long edge of your mat again. And then just changing sides. So spin the left toes to the left so they're spinning towards the short edge of your mat. And pull your right toes in a little bit. Bend your left knee, take your arms to a T. Inhale, straighten the left leg, arms by the ears. Exhale, bend the knee, arms to a T. Inhale, straighten and lift. Exhale, bend and lower. Inhale, straighten and lift. Oh, these look good. Exhale, bend, lower. You're holding here for a breath. And then bring the hands to the hips. Straighten the left leg. Spin the feet parallel again so the toes are spinning to the long edge of your mat. And then very gently just walk your feet towards each other. We're going to come into a standing balance pose. We may have done this last week. I slept a lot since then, so I can't remember. So bring your feet hips distance apart. Bring your hands to your hips. And then lift your right heel so you're on the ball of your right foot. Gently spin your right knee to the right. And then just pull the right heel so it connects to your inner left ankle. You can stay right there, or maybe you lift your right foot to your inner calf. And then hands can stay on the hips, or you can bring hands to the heart. You can stay here, or we're going to take just a little bit of movement with the arms. I'm just starting to make this harder for you guys. So on your inhale, take your arms up by your ears, only if you want. And then exhale, bring the hands to the heart. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, arms up by the ears. Exhale, hands to the heart. I'm really wobbly this morning. Maybe some of you are like me. Inhale, take the arms up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Hug your right knee towards the center of your chest. And then nice and easy, lower that foot down. Take your arms by your sides and just give yourself a little shake out. Let that go. Adding the arms makes it trickier. So if you're noticing that, you're not alone. I'm feeling it too. Take your hands back to your hips, feet hips distance apart. Lift the left heel and spin the left knee gently to the left. Pull that heel to the inner right ankle. And again, you can decide if you'd like to lift the foot to the inner calf. Maybe hands stay on the hips, maybe they come to the heart. Maybe you stay right here. Or if you want, inhale, take your arms up by your ear. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, hands to the heart. And then just hug that knee towards the center of the chest. Lower the foot down, lower the arms, quick little shake out. And then just come back to mountain pose, right in the center of the mat, if you are already there. Spin the palms forward, ground through both feet. Lift up through the top of the head. Notice how nice it feels to have both feet on the mat. And then inhale, take your arms, reach them by your ears. And exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, downward facing dog, hands forward, feet back. You have 2 breaths here at your last down dog. Yes, my breaths are probably longer than yours, so my 2 might be your 3 or 4. And then drop your knees to the mat, big toes together, sit back into your child's pose, hips to heels. And then come up to tabletop, bring your shoulders over your wrists. And then just make your way back to seated. So you can just take your hips to the side and bring your feet forward. Come up to the front of your mat so you have space to roll back in a moment. And then bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet flat out in front of you. And let's just take hands behind the knees here. So you can support the legs with your hands. Now we're just going to alternate lifting the feet. So lift the right leg so the shin is parallel to the mat. And then lower that down. And then lift the left leg. And then lower it down. And then right leg. And lower. And left leg. And lower. You can stay with that alternating at your own pace. Or this time the right leg's gonna come up. And the left leg's gonna meet it. So now both feet are lifted. I know it's hard to see me because there's stuff behind me. And then if you're feeling brave, maybe reach your fingertips forward. Imagine there's a string at the center of the chest lifting you up. See if you're holding your breath. I was just holding my breath. Can you breathe? Good. Take your feet down to the mat. That's a hard pose. Take the hands behind the knees and roll yourself all the way back to your back. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Take your hands behind the thighs or around the shins. Just pause there for a couple breaths. And then keep your right knee hugged in. Extend the left leg straight onto the mat. So if having the left leg straight feels like it's too intense for you, you can bend the left knee, take the sole of the left foot flat to the mat. Then keep that right knee hugged in. Just take your right arm to a T so it rests on the floor. If your space is limited, you can bend that right elbow so it's that cactus position, more of a 90-degree angle. And then cross your right leg over the body to the left, coming into a twist. So that right knee is pointing over to the left. You may roll a little bit onto your left side. And then come back to center and hug both knees back towards the chest. Keep the left knee in and extend the right leg out. And take your left arm to a T or cactus. Cross the left leg across the body, coming into a twist, so that left knee is pointing to the right. And then just come back up to center and hug both knees in towards the chest. You can stay here with hands behind the thighs or around the shins, or if you want, you can reach your hands for your feet, or maybe the backs of the knees. Hug the knees towards the armpits and soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Maybe take a gentle rock side to side wherever you are. And then if you have the feet or the knees, just hug the knees back and towards the chest. Give yourself a hug. And then just release your legs and come into any position on your back where you're comfortable. So your legs can be straight or you can have the knees bent. And just let the arms flop next to you. Make sure wherever you land, you feel really supported so that you can be still. And then if you're comfortable, close your eyes. And then just imagine that you're standing in front of a very beautiful, ornate gate. And just to the right of that gate is a big, majestic tree. Notice its big, strong trunk, and beautiful, sturdy branches. But just walk over to that tree and notice that at the base of the tree there's a bucket. Just pick that bucket up and start to place anything in that bucket that's been on your mind, that's causing you stress or worry. So imagine you have little pebbles, and maybe it's the stress about school, you place a pebble in the bucket. Maybe it's work or family or relationships. Just take a little time and place all of those things that have been on your mind in that bucket. And then place that bucket on one of the sturdy branches of that tree and just let that tree hold your worries. Make your way back to that beautiful gate. Put your hand on the handle and open that gate up and walk through it into a beautiful garden. Notice all the flowers and the colors and the shapes and the textures. And notice that there are many paths that lead from that gate out into the garden. Just pick one path and start to walk down the path. And as you walk down that path, you come up upon a bench. Just sit on that bench. Allow yourself to relax there and just take in the beauty of what's around you. Notice the fragrant smell of the flowers, the temperature of the air, the blue sky overhead, and all the colors of the flowers surrounding you. Just sit here and enjoy this beauty. And then just take a mental snapshot of what you see so that you could always come back here if you want. And then stand up off the bench. Start to make your way back down the path to the gate. And as you open that gate and start to walk back outside of the garden, just start to bring your focus back to the place where you currently are on your yoga mat. Take a slightly deeper breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and your wrists. Reach your arms by your ears, nice big stretch. And then roll off to one side, pause on your side with your eyes closed. And then use your top hand just to press yourself back up to a comfortable seated position, just like we started the class. Just keep your eyes closed and bring your hands to heart center. Press the palms into one another. Give yourself permission to take time to breathe, to live life, to give, to love, to reflect, to be present, and to just be. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Because they're so far away, I have to come up here so I can see you all. How are we doing? And a little better, maybe some of us? Got some thumbs up. All right, so I know I threw a lot at you today. It's really hard since I only see you guys once a week. I wish I saw you twice a week. It makes it easier. So sometimes there's just going to be a lot that is thrown your way. So remember today there are 3 poses. I'm going to just put them in the chat here just so you have them if you want to take a screenshot or if you want to write them down. Modified plank, plank, and cobra. So your video for your assignment today, you can do it in whatever order that you want, but maybe you start in table, walk your hands forward, take your hips forward, say modified plank, that's pose 1. If you don't want to do plank, just tell me what plank is. It's tucking the toes, lifting the knees. But if you feel comfortable doing it, you can tuck the toes, lift the knees for plank. And then you'll lower to your belly, lift your head and your shoulders for cobra. So 3 poses today. Hopefully that makes sense. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, you have them there. You can always Google them if you can't remember what they look like. And I think that's it. If there aren't any questions, then I will see you guys next Friday. Stay safe and try and stay out of this crazy air. Bye, guys.
I have a question.
Yes.
Actually, I have a couple of questions.
Oh, Angel, hi.
Hi. For the cobra, when we're lifting up into that cobra position, are we lifting up to where our belly buttons are off of the ground, or do we want our belly buttons to stay?
There are lots of variations of cobra. So I didn't get into it just because I already threw so much at you today. But for me, for now, I don't even want you to have your belly button up. So notice I'm lifting head and shoulders and I'm not going very high. There is a variation where you straighten your arms and see my belly button is up. But we didn't really do that today. I prefer you just lift head and shoulders a little bit because actually it's a great way to strengthen your back muscles.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What else you got?
I'm just writing this down really quick. Belly
button no problem.
On the floor. Okay, for the second one, the twist that we did when we were laying on our back and our left knee came over our right side. I know you were saying that the butt can go a little bit up off of the ground. I'm flexible enough to where my knee can almost touch the opposite side of the ground. Do you want that to happen, or do you want me to keep it off of the ground?
Well, does it feel okay for you where it goes? If it goes that far? Yeah, then that's fine.
Okay.
My answer is always going to be to you, if it feels okay, then that's good for you. There's a lot of when I was trained in yoga, I was trained all these things have to be perfect in these certain ways, but the more I learn and practice and work with people, everybody's different. So my knee doesn't go as far as your knee goes. I would be uncomfortable, but if you're good there, then I say that's perfect for you.
Okay. Okay, that was it.
Is that it? Okay. All right, you guys. Anyone else that's still here have a question? You guys were just listening? I think they were just listening.